Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It feels like I've not been here in weeks, actually, but welcome back to the LFC transfer room. My name is Lewis. It has been about 2-3 weeks since I've been last here, so really looking forward to this. And I'm joined by Menti and Hassan. Couldn't think of anyone better to be on the show with than I am today. And just before we get into this, everyone, please make sure to hit like and subscribe for more content. Streams every single day, 7:30 p.m. UK time, and there's regular content coming out, especially in the next few days. So make sure you tune into that. It's been a quiet day. I think it's somber is the word for it following that defeat yesterday. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on the result from yesterday. I can't imagine there's going to be a lot of positives, but it is what it is. We'll move on past it. I mean, Menti, I'll go to you first. How are you? How are you? Have you recovered from yesterday's result, if you want to call it that?
I've recovered pretty quick. Obviously, I'm a fan, so this doesn't like mentally have any effect on me. I'll go to sleep. I'll be fine in the morning, but not good to be here. Excited to just chop it up with you guys.
Yeah, Hassan, I mean, did you share the same thing as Menti? Is this just a sort of it's happened, move on kind of thing?
Uh, I know I am really stuck on the result because the past trauma keeps us reminding us that everything is going so positively and we hit the roadblock.
Mm,
I hope we recover from it, and the Klopp leaving factor plays a huge motivational act for the boys now, because from now on there's no room for error, I think,
no.
because we were allowed one draw, and with Atlanta we lost our home ground advantage in the first leg. Now we have to go to their home ground and make a really good comeback like we did against Barcelona. And at that day, it was Anfield, and the uh, crowd, the fans played a huge part. Unlike yesterday,
Mm.
it was totally non-existent. And Now we have to focus on Crystal Palace. They are always a tricky side. New manager, new ideas, everything. They will be also motivated by the last uh, result of ours, and they know that we have to do a big job midweek. So they have their plans. So let's see how we bounce back from the yesterday's result.
Well, there were so many things that went right. Like, I mean, if we sort of break it down, nothing went well, and like going into that, it felt like such a positive vibe. Like Badge Titch was back, Jones is getting more minutes, Diogo Jota's back. Like there's so many people back from injury, and it just wasn't. But it couldn't have gone more wrong. And like you said, there we've got a return leg next week. But the difference is we aren't at home. We're going to be going away. And me and Menti were saying this before. Like we are going to concede. Let's be honest. We are going to go to their ground and concede. So we're going to need to score 4 goals. But like, if we just go for it a bit before we get onto the more sort of lighter news, Hassan said there, Menti, about the fact that Klopp leaving has given us this boost. But I suppose we have to look at the other side. Like, has Klopp saying he's leaving? Has it in a way had a negative effect in to some of these players, or sort of like, well, it doesn't particularly matter because you're not going to be here, kind of thing. Not to be disrespect them, but I mean, is there an argument to say that it has had a negative effect on us?
Well, I think it had like a good effect on them at first, where to a point where like they were motivated, they were like willing to try for 90 minutes, put their best efforts on the field. But like it got to a point where like they were just too calm. Like that game against Atlanta, they had no respect. They were too
Mm,
casual. They were doing
definitely.
like they were trying to do tricks in the middle instead of just doing normal passes. Like everyone was doing it. So at the end of the day, it's their fault for being too casual. Now they put them in a situation where they literally put this pressure on them. And I think that loss makes it a little bit worse for the players just because next year you're not going to know who's going to be here and who's going to be gone. With the new manager coming in, I mean, players are basically getting assessed. Edwards is assessing you at this point. So mentally, it's just a lot to handle for the players at this moment. But Sunday is going to be a big game. So hopefully they have a good reaction to that. and they could bounce back at home. But losing to Anfield, crazy. That they should be ashamed of themselves. But we can't just keep yelling at them. We got to support them at the end of the day. But we'll see how they bounce back. But they can't use this Klopp farewell thing as like a cushion. But that period's over. Like they got to lock in now.
But like you say, the players can't. We do have to get behind them, but can we hold the fans accountable? Like I understand why they were doing the protests, so to speak, for increasing season ticket prices, but of all the games to do it, was that necessarily the one to do it in? Like, I understand all the Premier League games are important, but at home against Atalanta, who aren't pushovers in the Europa League quarterfinals, like, is that the game to be doing it in?
Nah, it's probably the worst game to do it in now. That's just like one trophy. Like fans are just, if you go on social media, fans are like happy, not happy, but like it's just split right now. People are just bashing players. They're picking individuals like Szoboszlai, Nunes. They're like, he shouldn't be starting, sell him, blah, blah, blah. It's just a bad situation for the fans at the moment, but I feel like Anfield always has to support the players no matter what. I get the price increase is very bad, but we just have to support players at the end of the day. And I mean, it showed it this yesterday.
Well, Ashley Russell says 100% it was the worst, most destabilizing thing Klopp had done. He literally sabotaged his own team just as they were bonding and became really successful. As for the SOS fans, pathetic. I mean, I guess, like I said, I agree with why they're doing it. It's not like they've done anything malicious. I remember we played Sunderland in 15-16, and we drew 2-2, and there was a protest where we walked out in like the 70-something minute. So it has happened before, but like I don't. If this was a game, Hassan, that we'd have won, we would be going, oh, well done to those fans for sticking up for it. But is it because of the fact that we've lost in particular that it's just making us think, idiots for walking out at Anfield, especially on a European night?
Yeah, it's a concern we all must share, but maybe there should have been a dialogue. It was done so quickly. It was announced, and they said that we will do it. Maybe there must be more dialogue. Maybe protest outside the ground, and um, the game itself. We have seen many times before that the crowd has pulled us and taken us forward. So I think we should have stick to the team, and we know we have defensive problems. We can concede at any time. So I think if the crowd was on, we would have get at least one goal. So in the return leg, it must have been. Now we have to score 3 goals, and then extra time. The thing I was really happy with the other teams in Champions League, that they might go to the extra time even in penalties. So they will be tired in the upcoming EPL fixtures. Now that is our possibility as well. So we should have the changes also didn't work. They were not up to the speed. Atlanta was really up for it. Their fans were the ones. They were the ones who were making the most noise. So we lacked these. In these quarterfinals and the knockout stages, fine margins plays a huge factor. So the home crowd, and it needed to be the amazing atmosphere for the players, so they could have gone in at individual mistakes are getting us to so it was a really sad day yesterday because we were not up for it.
Yeah. Well, Ashley says here, well, if anyone can do it, we can, but Lord, we make things difficult for ourselves. We do. That is just what we do in a nutshell, let's be honest. And as the thing is, I suppose in seasons gone by with these comebacks, it's been a sort of case of, well, we've got nothing else to fight for, so let's go for it. Like the season we won the Champions League and we played Barcelona, we were competing for the league, yes. But in our mind, it was, look, it's the Champions League this season. Just always sort of felt that way. now it sort of feels like we can't put too much into this result trying to get the win when Atalanta are probably going to score, like you say, when the Premier League is the priority, I think, this season. I think most people would agree on that. And Paul says this is the most surprising game we have played under Klopp. I mean, Menti, can I get your thoughts on that? Because there's a few in my mind. I think the Aston Villa 7-2 is probably...
Yeah.
Yeah,
Honestly, I might agree with Paul slightly. I was thinking about that Aston Villa game, but I'm pretty sure Adrian was starting goalkeeper. So, I mean, no disrespect to him, but I mean, Ali Watkins had like the perfect hat trick that day. But
yeah, true.
This game is just like when you're watching as a fan. We haven't lost there in 14 months before yesterday. So in the back of my mind, a loss wasn't a thing. I knew we were going to concede first, but I didn't think we were going to get dominated this way. It was just, and like I usually tend to like pick on Gakpo a lot, but honestly, like the only positive I could think of was him. He was actually pretty good. Yeah, like, and we always usually call him out for it, and for once he was actually good. Like I can't even be mad at Gakpo, but everyone else when it comes to coaches, fans, players, like it just looked like players wanted to make like individual moments rather than being a team. So, but maybe I think this is probably one of the worst losses just because it's tied for joint worst for Liverpool at home in Europe. But I just don't like the fact that we put ourselves in this position to come back and play them. I know we beat them like 2 years ago, 5-0 at their home, but I mean, we're not the same team, so we'll see how that goes.
Well, Paul says that. He said we beat Atalanta 5-0 at their place, which is true. I definitely agree with that. But at the same time, that was in the group stage. I don't think that was a knockout stage. So in this, they know we have to go for it because if we don't, we're not going to get anywhere. So there's going to be space. They're going to try and exploit it. And that was such a big thing last night, which... They were just everyone that back line for the first time. I was looking at just like they're not where they're meant to be. They're just all over the place. Kante was committing far too far forward. Van Dijk just didn't look up to it. No one looked particularly good. And Klopp said it himself in the post press conference. We lost the plot. Now, Hassan, you mentioned it before about the Klopp leave, and it probably has had a bit of a positive effect, but could this be the sort of first sign of what's to come when Klopp leaves, so to speak? I know we're going to get a new manager, but they look lost out there. And I mean, is that a sign for what could possibly come for the future?
It depends upon the manager who's coming in. Hopefully he comes in well before in time. It's announced earlier, and he gets with the group and plans the preseason accordingly. He must give chances to the players who are coming back from the loan moves, and he possibly picks the team. It will be. It all depends upon the manager we select and who comes in, and how much he bonds with the group, and how he takes them along. But yeah, it we will see, because now it looks like so far away, the new manager and the thing, because we have so many games coming up rapidly, so we must focus in and locked in on our goals.
Paul said, I think they all went to Mo's house to celebrate the end of Ramadan the night before. They were dreadful and so sluggish. And yeah, I completely agree that no one looked sharp. It was just so many of the passes went wayward. So many people just... There was no cohesiveness between them. There was no cohesion in that squad. Everyone just looked like they were trying to do their own individual thing. No one was joining up. No one was working together. It was just a mess. It was like they'd never been in a dressing room together, and they'd all just went onto the pitch saying, right, you just do what you want, you do what you want. And that didn't work. It didn't work, especially when Nunez was up front, who he needs some people feeding him the ball to be able to do something. And he wasn't getting good service. And then when he was getting service, he was blasting it over the bar or sending it wayward. And I adore Nunez. I think I absolutely don't love Nunez, but I can't defend them off that yesterday. Who knew 22 said we start again and build and run? Absolutely. This is not to bash the squad at all. This is just our thoughts on the match last night. But thinking of that, we start again and build and run. One thing that have started is contract negotiations with Luis Diaz. Now, apparently, there's been interest from Barcelona that they are interested in signing Diaz in the summer, and that's when we are going to open the contract negotiations. So, Menti, I mean, I want to get your thoughts on Diaz. There's a lot of sort of debate over to whether he's good enough. He's very hot and cold. Like, what do you think of him as a player?
I think he's a good player. It's just the only thing that's like the only difference between him and like Mane and Firmino, those front three is just like his decision making sometimes is just like it just doesn't make sense, and his finishing could do a lot of work too. But like, mind you, like as soon as like that Spurs game, they took away his goals. He has a couple goals where they got it taken away from him for offsides, but I don't know. It's just his decision making at the end of the day, and I just think when a new manager comes, I think it might be a good thing for us just because it's just going to be something different. Hopefully it's Almiron because we just need to play a new style just because these players look like you said yesterday, it's just they didn't know what they were doing. It's like, what tactics did you guys do in training? Like, it was just like, what were we gonna do as fans? I was watching through a screen and I was just like, I just knew it was a bad feeling, but it just looks like they don't have discipline. And in terms of Diaz, hopefully having a Portuguese speaking manager can bring the best out of him. I remember Almiron, Goikarez wasn't that good besides this season. You guys could look up his stats. Amars brought the best out of him. So hopefully he could actually do that with a Portuguese speaking player. At the end of the day, I don't want to blame coaching the most, but I feel like they weren't coached well enough. He put out that lineup thinking he was going to win. That didn't work out as well. I think Diaz is good enough to play for Liverpool, but I just think a new manager, this might be the best time for change. Change could be a good thing for us. Because the structure is already there. Edward started that structure before, how long has it been? 10 years with the club before he left. So I think it's going to be so I think that structure has been built for the future. So regardless, like Klopp did his thing, but I still think Liverpool's still going to be Liverpool regardless. So hopefully, I don't know about the contract extension. We'll wait because if we get a good offer, honestly, if he goes, like, I'm not going to be mad. If he stays, I still won't be mad. But if it's a good offer, I feel like, it won't hurt us. We could go get someone else.
Yeah, well, that's Paul Ater. I tried my best. I'm so sorry. I think Liverpool should tell him he would do well in Barcelona free to do what he does for Colombia. Also, it's easier to get a left winger. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good shout. Now, Paul's echoing sort of what I'm worried about. Luchos fitting Amarin's system. Selling them might not be a bad idea. So I've done quite a bit of looking into Amarin. I did a video on my own channel about it and the system he plays, and he plays a 3-4-3. He likes his wingers to cross over each other so that defenders follow them, create space. He likes a central number 9, just an out and out attacker. Diaz, I think, would do very well in an Amarim system, like you said, Menti. Like, he's so good at getting the ball and running. The chop and change, the interchange of wingers would give so much space for Diaz, which is something that he thrives off. I think Diaz would do very well in an Amarim system, personally. I mean, Hassan, I want to get your thoughts as well on Diaz this season, like Menti give, but are you sort of, we talk about that front five, Salah, Nunez, Gakpo, Jota, Diaz. As time's going on, I'm starting to see Diaz drop a little bit lower. Like, what's your thoughts on him as a player? Is he good enough that we should be fighting to keep him this summer?
Yeah, for that, we have to bear in mind that for his injury, before his injury, he was really good. He had suffered a really serious injury. And in this season, if you can see that we have not a stable left-sided left back. It was Robo, then Gomez coming in, Shemikas. It was he never developed a long-term partnership there on the left side. So I think that has also played a part, because at those years when Mane was there, there was always Robertson. They developed a really nice understanding with each other. So this season he has suffered the injury, and not having a partner on the left side. The He is a really good player, but it all depends upon the club who's coming in for him, the price they gave us, and as we all know, Edwards is really is not gonna. He is not as sentimental as Klopp. If a good a price comes in and he has a target who he thinks will come in the team and will perform as much as him or even better, he will not hesitate to make the move. So it will all depend upon the price which is coming in. As Menti said, he's sort of a player. If he stays, we are really glad. If he goes, we'll welcome another player.
Well, yeah, I mean, you look at Diaz this season. So just got his stats on the screen for me. So he's got in the Premier League 30 appearances, 8 goals, 4 assists. Europa League 6 appearances, 3 assists, and he's got 1 goal in the League Cup and 1 goal in the FA Cup. So he's somewhat a good goal scorer, but Ashley Russ says I can live with his lack of goals. For me, it's his lack of quality assists, and to me, Diaz very much reminds me of like a Bolo Zenden kind of player, where it's just head down, run. Like he doesn't really. He just feels like he just wants to run at the goal and just see what happens, kind of thing. Menti, I mean, right now, Diaz, the contract negotiations are up in the air. Would you be offering him a long-term deal, or would you just be looking at a sort of short-term deal to sort of see if the price can increase underneath a new manager?
Honestly, we'll see. With Edwards, he tends to be a little bit more ruthless when it comes to players.
Yeah,
So
has sense of that.
if the price is right, I feel like Edwards is gonna, send him on his path to Barca if they could somehow negotiate the price. I just think he won't go to Barca just because Liverpool value him around 75 million. Barca's a broke club. There's no way they're gonna pay 75 million for Luis Diaz. So the thing is, I think what they're gonna do is they're gonna wait for the new manager. Once that new manager makes assessments, I feel like they'll move forward based on that. But unless it's PSG, I don't see him leaving. I don't think Barca can afford him. And I don't think they're going to pay 75 million for just a transfer. Yeah, honestly, I could see him staying, but it's just up to Edwards. But I do trust Edwards, though. I'm happy that he's back. I know him and Klopp been having, some issues, and that's one of the reasons why I left. But I think this is going to be good for us. But he just simply, like, in the Premier League, you got to score goals. Liverpool's a big club. So if we're able to get some value from him and get someone that's, a goal scorer, I'm not mad, but I'll just wait till the new manager and let him assess him.
Well, like a genuine thing that I'm thinking is Diaz. If you look at the stats, like I said, then he's not a bad goal scorer. Like he's not amazing, but he's scoring 1 in every 3, which around about that, which is quite good. Like, is he suffering from the fact of, like you mentioned before, we do still compare him to Mane, and we do still compare him to that high ceiling? Like, is that a bit of a downfall for him because we've seen what we've had in the past?
Yeah, it really is, just because, we're just that era with Mane, everything just gave fans, like, they show them what we could be. So that's like our expectation. So like the bar was set like high. So he knew that when he came here, and then the injury obviously happened. And like, it's just like, I like Lucha a lot. And then the parents thing, like, that mentally messes up a person. I don't care who you are as a fan. Like, imagine you're a professional, you're enjoying your life, you're having a kid, and then your parents get kidnapped. So he just had a crazy season. And for me, I genuinely think I will not be mad if he stays. Like, I am all for giving him another chance with a new manager, because when we get a new manager, that new manager bounce could go our way. Like, we could be a new Liverpool, and like they could take us like one step above a Klopp. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but like Klopp set the standard, and the new manager could just be winning titles. So, I don't know. If the price was right, I think Edwards would sell him. But honestly, I'll see him staying next year.
So if we're looking at the teams that he scored against, this is just the Premier League. So we've got Chelsea, Bournemouth, Luton, Chelsea, Burnley, Luton, Brighton, Manchester United. He's good. He does come up in games where he does score against big teams. Like he's a big game player in some aspects. Hassan, I mean, what is it about Diaz that has got him so polarized? And is it just because he's not, it just feels like he hasn't reached the same level that he did when he first came in, and he came in like a house on fire? Like, what is it about him that's just got so many people thinking, oh, he's just not good enough? Is it his goal scoring? Is it his lack of assists? What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it's mainly his end product. It goes hot and cold. When he came back from the injury, his dribbling was really off. Now he's getting back to the his usual self, but it's go time. We really need everyone to be on their best. Uh, till last month, everyone was performing to their highest. Now we have seen a bit of dip from, I think, from everyone. Salah coming back from the injury is not the same. uh, Last game, the only player who was on for uh, everyone was McAllister. He was also uh, almost invisible yesterday. Endo also after Asian Games, he is not the same level. So I think we need to the players coming back. It can be a positive and it can be a negative as well, that everyone, so many players may be overthinking, and maybe that if we do something wrong, if we are not safe, our place will be gone. So maybe like yesterday, as Manti said, that everyone was looking for their individual moments, because they wanted to shine and get ahead of their competition. So maybe that was the thing. Uh, we have for Diaz, we don't have the direct replacement. Gapco is a different sort of a player. Nunes can play there, but uh, it's with everyone. We cannot even single out him. Like he was not, he didn't even start that game. When he came in, he was okay. So there are so many things. I hope after every dip there is a rise. So I hope this was the end of it, and we realize that we don't have any room for error from now onwards.
No, we don't. Let's be honest. Like it is we have to win every game. Like the Premier League isn't even in our hands anymore. We cannot drop points in that competition, and we've got Palace this weekend. So yeah, we're at the stressful point now. We're at the stressful period, and we just need to see how we get on. There's a lot of comments that have just come through. I think Diaz isn't scoring enough because of the bounce of the forward line. Also, Salah gets most of the ball and can hardly pass it across goal for Diaz to tap in. Also, he's running too much, so lost composure. Yeah, I mean, Salah he's good at putting that ball in. I think it was both Chelsea games, actually, where he just crosses it in and Diaz is able to tap in. Like, he can do it. It's just not. I do see what you mean, though. It is something that he could be doing a lot more. He played freely when he first arrived. Klopp as the forwards doing so much, apart from Mo. It's no wonder they dominate when they go over to South America and play more freely. Absolutely. They're in a system. I mean, Menti, that's an interesting comment, actually. Like, is Klopp's system restrictive for Diaz? Is he someone who would thrive under, say, just name popping off my head, an Ange Postecoglou, where it's very much run, 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 express yourself? If he's getting the tune out of Timo Werner, I'm pretty sure he could do it out of Luis Diaz.
Yeah, I don't think it's like the thing is the 4-3-3. It's a little bit outdated. I'm not trying to be a little bit messed up, but it's like teams know how to play against. I remember when we initially had that Gegenpress, it was just like 2018-19. It was just like it was the best thing ever to watch a 4-3-3. But now it's just like teams know how to get around. It's like they're going for 3 in the back now. You can see Arsenal even did well against us. I was so surprised this season, but Arsenal are on it, and I could respect them for that. They made that change. It was rough at first, but it looks like it was needed, so it's a plus. But I just think the 4-3-3 is outdated, and like we just got to go away from it, honestly. But I think we were missing players. Like we need Trent back so bad. It's just like we didn't have that player to like help make that change towards the end. And before Trent got injured, he was a beast. He was like having game-changing moments. Like we just like last game we didn't have that. Like everyone was even Van Dijk looked vulnerable, and I was like, whoa, he looked like he was invincible this season. But I don't know. I feel like there's so many factors for that game. It's just hard for us to pinpoint what it is. But yeah, if you look at like when it comes to that South American way, like Luis Diaz thrives, and if you look at Darwin, whenever he plays for his Uruguayan manager, you see the best out of Darwin. He'd be scoring against Argentina, Brazil. Like Darwin has the capabilities to score. I just feel like it's just a coaching. If you look at any of the videos, Klopp is just like the type of manager to just like oversee the training, and it's like Pep Linders like yelling, giving the instructions. So that's why for me personally, I want a manager that's hand-on, that's making decisions, and like he chooses players based on training. So that's why I want Almiron to come in. I just feel like it's just 4-3-3 is amazing. Don't get it wrong, brought us the best memories. I just think it's slightly outdated, and teams could play against it.
Is the whole hands-on approach thing though? So obviously, I know this is Man United, but I was listening to the overlap recently, and Rio Ferdinand was explaining how when Sir Alex was in charge, he had very little to sort of do with the training. He just sort of he trusted the lower down staff to handle it for him. But then when Moyes came in, he was so on top of everything. He wanted to be involved in everything. I mean, could that have an adverse effect on these players?
No, I don't think so. Like Sir Alex Ferguson, that hands-on approach, it worked for him. Like certain managers, it just works for. It worked for Klopp as well, but it gets to a point where you see people like Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola is just like, I want you to do this. There's a video that just came out of him in training. He's like a mad scientist. Like he wants things done specifically, and it works. Like you need a manager that's hand-on. Hey, you do this, you do that. Like when this player's doing that, you just got to give instructions where it's like planted in their head. And that's why City has been a threat for what, 4-5 years. City are crazy, and they might get their 4th in a row. So we'll see if that happens. But I just think we just need a new approach. Players just need a new system. I just think a good refresh is good for everyone, and I think that's what FSG is going for. And for once, and I'm usually FSG out, but I think they're doing the right thing, so it's going to be beneficial for us.
Well, Paul, Lindo, and Hassan, I'm going to come to you with these. So Paul said the Gangnam Press is running and causing a lot of injuries. Amarim's possession-based system might be a welcome change. Now,
yeah,
as I said before, I've done a video on my channel about Amarim, and when I've looked into it, his team's still press. They've got the highest pressing numbers in the Portuguese league. He wants players to win the ball back as soon as possible. He uses 2 central midfielders who are box to box. They help the defense. They will help the back three, fill in the gaps, but they create chances for the wide players, which tend to be the fullbacks. He's a very gegenpress type of manager, similar to Klopp. Now, Hassan, I want to get your thoughts on this because Paul's making a good point with regards to the injuries. Is it Klopp's system? And this is not bash Klopp, by the way. I want him to stay with us until he can't walk anymore and he's some sort of like futuristic cyborg in a jar. But like, is there a case to say that the injuries are happening because of the work rate that Klopp's expecting from them? Like, would the injuries possibly benefit from Ruben Amorim coming in? Like, yes, he still presses, but maybe not to the same level that Klopp's known for.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. As we have discussed earlier, it's the system that coaches now have understood, and they have make counter tactics to play against us. They know how we play, how we pass. Yesterday, we have to give Atlanta a lot of credit. They came up with man marking system. I think Keller was the one who touched the most. Uh, if we were playing when they were not settled, we were playing well. We were creating chances. If ball went in, it would have been a different game. If Nunes had the composure, it would have been a different game. Once they came back in the game, we could not pass for our lives because at one player there were always two players who were pressing us. So we have to give them a lot of credit that they came in with a game plan, stuck with it beautifully, and whatever they touched was gold. Like the second goal of Skamaka, Keller didn't even expect it. Uh,
Hard
the
finish.
first time volley, he was thinking that he will go across. He just pushed it inside. It was a really cool finish. They were making really good short passes. It's just every team now know how to play. We now have to be a good team, play for each other, and we need individual brilliances. Like Menti said, Trent needs to come in because he's the one who can make game-changing passes and have a game-changing moment instantly. So it would all depend players coming in and be back on front foot and be on their best.
Yeah, I mean, I said there's a lot to dissect with this performance, and but just to look at a positive spin on it before we get into some of the questions that have come through. And Hassan, I'll give you this first, and then I'll give it to you, Menti. We started off not started off the season. We got to a point where we were like, look, the quadruple, then it's the treble, then it's the double. With this run in the Premier League coming up, and with, I'd say, Arsenal and City having tougher fixtures than we do, is there an argument to say we don't need to go all out in this Europa League? Let's just focus on the Premier League. Let's get a double. Let's win the league and the League Cup. I mean, is that a positive way of looking at it? That this result could be a sort of the break we need in between games to make sure that we can go out there and absolutely waltz the Premier League?
Yeah, if we hadn't drawn with United, maybe this game I wouldn't have been half-assed like now, because now we are thinking we can lose the both of them. So it's a really hard feeling. Be- uh, I think we all want the Premier League, the most. Europa is a positive if we can get it. But if there are 7 games remaining on Premier League, so we need to do really well in the remaining fixtures. Our games are not easy. Our away fixtures are really, really tricky ones. So I think City. I think City have the easiest run in, but I hope they go in the semi-final after going to the penalties in this match and have a really hard semi-final. Also, maybe they can flutter a bit on and Arsenal. They it's really bad, but they come with the answers eventually now, and they are been really really lucky with the injuries. Rice, Odegaard, I don't think they have any injury this whole season. They have played all the games. They are the more their center back partnership is also on form, and they are I think playing all the games. So these things because as you said, we were thinking about quadruple, but it was in December or January. Before that, when the season started, we were all like, hopefully we can make the top four, and this because it was all the new team. And when they came in, they performed really well because they were new, they were excited, they wanted to show the fans what they can do. Now it's the time, maybe it's they are a bit tired, but I don't. We should. The coaches and the manager should really motivate them. That it's only a half, 1.5 month to go, and go bring your A game, and the like you started off the season.
Menti, your thoughts on it? Like, is it a good thing if we go out the Europa League, really, in terms of this season, or would you rather us absolutely go for the Europa League to try and stay in it, or should we just be looking at this as we've got to focus on the Premier League now?
The thing is, I would have been like, that would have been the perfect plan if we beat United. But the thing is, we don't have a good enough defense to have that mindset. Literally, Arsenal have the most clean sheets, and they look very dominant. Like, I don't see Arsenal, honestly. We're thinking, oh, they're playing Spurs, it's a derby, they're playing Chelsea. They're well coached, and their defense is good. So defense was a championship. So and the goal difference, that's too much as well. We can't even score against Atlanta, and we're thinking about going after Arsenal. They have 9 goals ahead of us. The thing is, oh my days, we have to win Europa. Like, we have to win something. Even if we win out and say Arsenal win out, we're gonna lose on goal difference. I don't see us making up goals. And like the thing is, our schedule is, I think after the Crystal Palace, we have 4 away games.
So,
4 away games. So you don't have like Anfield backing you. So it's just, for me, I just feel like defensively, I don't want to take that risk of just going all in. It makes sense to go all in for the Prem, but they haven't shown us as fans that they could do that, and they're capable of doing it. We got Everton coming up. They're our rivals. You know, our rivalry games is just different compared to a normal Prem game. So honestly, I feel like we're able to come back, but we should be able to go for both. You should go for both,
so
not just for one.
Our fixtures coming up, we've technically got 5 away games in a row because we've got 4. Sorry, no, you are right.
Okay.
So we've got Palace at home, Atalanta away, Fulham away, Everton away, West Ham away. Like that's a difficult run of fixtures. Then we've got Tottenham at home, Villa away, and then Wolves at home. So we still do have hard fixtures in comparison to Man City and Arsenal. So if we're looking at Man City, obviously they've still got Champions League games, them and Arsenal, but City have Luton at home. That's just is what it is. Chelsea at home, Brighton away, Nottingham away, Wolves at home, Fulham away, Tottenham away, and then West Ham at home. So of all them, Tottenham is probably the one where they could drop points realistically. And then you look at Arsenal, and they've got Aston Villa this weekend, which could be huge. They've then got Wolves away, Chelsea at home, Tottenham away, Bournemouth at home, United away, and then Everton at home. So looking through them, it's hard to see where any of them drop points. Even with the draw between Arsenal and City, it's not our league to win, but we absolutely need to go for it. Yeah, it's the main priority, let's face it, at this point. Paul makes a good question. If anyone's got any questions, by the way, that they want to put in, please feel free. We've got about 15 minutes left of the stream. So if you've got anything you want to ask, anything you want to know, please go for it. Please make sure to hit like and subscribe. And tonight, make sure you tune into the Twitter. We're going to be hosting a Twitter space, probably about half an hour, 40 minutes, around about that time. But it's going to be me hosting it. We've got a few people joining in, getting involved. It's just going to be to discuss this weekend of fixtures. So anyone who wants to tonight, come onto the Twitter space. If you want to speak, put the request in when you're in there and we'll get you in. But sticking on that though, Menti. So Paul says, what should we make of Gomez? He's good enough to fill in 3 or 4 positions, but not good enough to hold down a firm starting position. Like, what do you make of that with regards to Gomez? That not long ago we were saying he should maybe be the starting fullback, and now he's back out the team again. Like, what do you make of him?
for me, Gomez is good, but like I'm not trying to be messed up, but he's a perfect like role player. Like when someone that gets injured, I feel like go ahead, throw him in. Like I don't mind him playing.
Yeah.
I know Klopp has a lot of trust with him because he's had him the longest, but for me, he's not an outright starter just because that injury did really mess him up after that amazing season he had. For me, I don't mind him staying on the team and being, like that James Milner type player, so he could play multiple positions when the coach needs him. Great, let him stay. But it's just sometimes Klopp's loyalty to certain players just like it loses you games whether you like it or not. It is what it is. But yeah, I think Gomez is capable to be a good role player. Until he proves otherwise, that's what he's going to be looked at.
I really think he's too loyal, Klopp, with regards to the people he picks.
Yes, sometimes he's a little bit too loyal. Like for me, I know he brought on like Diaz and them first. I feel like I get that Jota was injured, but I feel like Jota should have came on before them just because as soon as Jota came on, he almost got a penalty. Like
Yeah, he did.
he's just so clinical over goal. I'm like, why aren't you putting the most clinical forward you have? And Klopp's loyalty just makes it seem like he's still to this point of the season, he doesn't know what his best three are from all those 5 attackers that we have. We have amazing attackers, but when have we seen like that fluid front three like we're used to? Like I genuinely haven't seen one. So loyalty sometimes could, I mean, I don't know, it makes you a blind, but I just felt like Jota should have came on early last game. But Gomez, I think Bradley should have started as well, just because he's just a little bit more explosive and drives with the ball. And he doesn't tend to make a lot of mistakes as well. He's proved his worth this season. So I felt like Bradley should have definitely started. And Robo should have started over Tsimikas as well.
I mean, Hassan, thoughts on that?
It was the rotation. As Mehdi said about the front three, I think injuries have played a lot because Klopp, I think, is really rigid on his starting 11. We have seen him. It was that same 11 who played, but this season the injuries have played a part. Maybe I think his best three he considers are Diaz, Nunes, and Salah. But because of the injuries going in, Jota was on fire when Diaz was not there. So I think that has come play, and uh, because I think for him, he was thinking about Premier League, not starting Bradley. He will start at the right back position, and at left back it was down to rotation, and the players coming in maybe not performing as well as they should have done, but as we said, it's just fine margin. We usually don't start well. Yesterday it was we started off well, and like I said in the group chat, Keller uh, uh, getting the ball on the face didn't help. I think a lot. He he had a red face, and after that he's I think was I think dazed a bit. But it is what it is. I hope we can really forget about the result, focus on Crystal Palace, and then go all out at Atlanta, because that's all we can do. We can't say that okay, if we go out we'll win the Premier League, because that's not in our hands now. So I think we should try at Atlanta a lot. If we all want that our players give all in, if we I think go out by fine margins, we will accept it, no problem. But we demand that it's not a performance like yesterday. Players go out, play really well, and if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. But in the final season of Klopp, I really hope it's we will the Premier League. It's 20 equal with United, and we have a really good farewell and happy days, new future, new excitement.
Yeah.
No, there's a lot to look forward to. It's just we're in a bit of a negative spell at the minute. If you go back a few weeks, we were all riding high. I think we did just go into this game thinking, this is going to be a breeze. I was one of those people as well. It absolutely wasn't, and we're just dealing with the repercussions of it. Paul says it seems like Endo has taken a few steps backward over the last few games. Is it time we try a different midfield? Yes. Trent, no. I don't think. I mean, Menti, I'll get your thoughts on this in a second, but I personally don't think this is the time to be experimenting with Trent as a CDM. Like, there is no fixtures on this list of ours where it's a viable option to risk Trent in that position. Palace, certainly not. Everton, no. Fulham, West Ham, no, because they can be tricky away games. Villa, definitely not. Tottenham, no. Menti, I mean, would you just be sticking? Would you stick with Endo as the number 6? Would you move McAllister there, or would you actually test Trent in that position?
Nah, I completely agree with you. I still think, even though I agree with Paul, Endo did take a crazy step back from how he was, but I don't think it's time for Trent to go in the midfield. I just think you need to just put Trent back in the lineup just because he creates so much chances. You just could tell, like, Gomez does not do the same job as Trent. Like, I get that Trent has his defensive liabilities, but Trent's giving you at least like 4 to 6 chances every game, easy. And it's like good chances, like in front of a goal. That, like, when he whips it back, he's pretty good. His overballs, he's really good. But for me, I don't think it's a time for him to go into midfield. But Trent is a big miss right now for us, and it showed last night.
What do you think of moving Salah in the centre for the rest of the season, or him coming off bench? He needs to move from right wing. The team doesn't function well from there. Part of the defensive issue. Hassan, I'll get your thoughts on this because it is an interesting topic. It's something up in the air at the moment and up for debate with a lot of fans. Like, what do you think of Mo Salah at the moment?
He's coming back from injury, and he was out for a long while, which is, I think, for him, it's alien. He he was always fit and playing games, and like him, he has a really nice understanding with Trent. He performed all his games with Trent. It was after coming back from injury, new right back, maybe Bradley or Gomez coming in. He's a match winner. He can give, like yesterday, he almost it was millimeters. He was offside. He scored the goal. With him, there are players who get attracted to him. There are always 3 players who are marking him. So it opens up spaces. Yesterday, the main problem was we were not passing each other nicely whenever we had the ball. And you guys must have noticed the big weapon with Van Dijk and Trent is their diagonals. Virgil was not doing it, and with Trent not in the team, we switched our positions really well. When they are coming on the right, we go on the left really quickly. But for last few games, we are trying to go through the middle a lot, and they are compact. We are not getting up spaces, and those magical passes, like McAllister was doing really well. He used to get past behind 2 or 3 players and give the ball away. Yesterday and in the United game, we were missing that thing.
No, definitely. We lack that sort of creative spark. Like in that United game, it felt like we were getting chances, but we just weren't finishing them. This game, it just felt like we weren't even getting the chances. There was just no creativity. There was no fluid motion. In the transition, we just looked absolutely poor, and nothing was going our way. Nancy, we're going to throw one of the last ones to you then. Does Kante get a start on Sunday, or will it be Quanza? Can Kante do another 90? Like, who started against United? It was Kante against United, wasn't it?
No, Quanza.
Was it Quanza? I was
Yeah.
in work, so I had to rewatch that nightmare. But
That was the mistake. That,
I mean,
Gerard 2.0. That's what they're calling it. Hey, I'm not me. I'm just
no, I'm not. Look, it is what it is.
Yeah.
You know.
For me, I feel like if Konate is able to go another 90, this sounds crazy. He's got to play, just because I feel like for me, he just brings a little bit more defensive security over Quanza. Just because, and like I'm not mad at Quanza. He's so young. He did the best he can for us this season. Like perfectly fine. But for me, it has to be Konate. If he's able to play a full 90, play him. But as a coach, that's their choice. They talk about it with the medical team, make that decision. But it has to be Konate for me, just because he's more defensively solid. And from I mean, I don't know. I think he'll be fine, but I think it'll be Konate. But knowing Klopp, I don't know what lineup he's going to put up this weekend. So.
Well, in the reverse fixture, it was Quanza who started this match when we went to Selhurst Park. So I mean, he does trust them in these games, these sort of mid-table away days. Like I know we're at home, but he does trust them. So for me, it's a bit 50-50. Kanate's injury prone. Quanza could probably do with the confidence boost. I think he'll start Quanza, but I completely agree with you. I think if Kanate is fit enough to do it, Kante has to start, but I do think he'll play Quanza. Yeah.
I have one question for you. All right. So I know we got a lot of players injured, right? Would you start the game with your strongest lineup and then bench them, or are you going to let them come off the bench? For me, I think you got to start your strongest. And then say if they're not capable to play another 45, bench them. Just because you got to come out guns blazing, because they have to have a reaction. This can't be one of those sketchy 2-1 wins. Like, you have to win 3-1, 4-1, like a comfortable win where you like can convince the fans. So I feel like starting the strongest is the best. So I need to see Trent playing and Jota playing. That's just me.
Hassan, I'll get you answer this first, and then I'll answer after you before we go. What do you think on Menti's question?
I agree with Menti that we should start really strong, get the goals, and be professional about it, and save our players for the Atlanta game, because we have a really great comeback to consider. We don't. I will not even mind 1-0 win. It's just 3 points in the bag, and go from there. The 3 points are the most important. So we should go all out with the stable players who are playing ahead. I think Jota and Trent can come in a bit later because they are coming back after a long time. They cannot maybe at the start. And I think Konate must start because have you seen Matata? He's really strong and physical. He will be a handful, and he can hold the ball and give it to Eze and Olise, who are really quick and really pacey and magical players. So I think we should go with the stable, strongest 11. And after that, when we are sound and we have 2 goals lead, I think we should consider players who are coming back, so they are regain their fitness.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it's strongest team now because this is the competition we're going to go all out in. There's the Europa League. There's no guarantees. We could go out there and absolutely wallop them, but like we did against United in the FA Cup, and we could just lose again. Like, not to be negative about it, but
Yeah,
I would rather put all my efforts into the Premier League, where a win is a win and that's it, than going into this competition where we're 3-0 down. We're going to be chasing large portions of the game because of that. There's going to be space in behind. And the minute we concede 1 goal, say if we lose to Palace, there's more pressure then on that European game to say, well, if we don't win that, then, that was a waste of a Premier League fixture. Like, if something goes wrong against Palace, then we rest players. Like, we can play our strongest squad against Palace and get a result. There's no guarantee just because we play our strongest squad against Atalanta that we're going to turn over a 3-0 deficit. That's my thoughts on it anyway. But yeah, we've hit the hour. That flew by, I won't lie to you. As I say, it was really good to be back. Thank you guys for tuning in every single day. Really appreciate the support. Please make sure to go like and subscribe. It helps out massively. We've been doing really well lately, and it's thanks to you guys, thanks to people like Menti and Hassan who help provide this content, give their thoughts on Liverpool even after the negative results. Still here, still powering through it. And as I said, there is a Twitter space going live in about 10 minutes. I'm going to be hosting it myself. If you want to join in, come listen in, but you can also speak on it. Put the request in when you're in there, and I'll invite you in, and you'll be able to give your thoughts. We're going to be discussing this game briefly, but we're also going to be looking forward to the Premier League weekend. Palace, Arsenal's fixture against Aston Villa, Man City's eventual victory over Luton. We're going to be talking about all of it. So please make sure you come join into that. Menti, Hassan, thank you both so much for coming on. It really is appreciated. You guys have been fantastic. And I will see you all soon for the